and welcome back to a new episode of Laps and Yaps. Today I'm joined by motorsport commentator and co-rally driver Josh Henderson. Hello, Josh.
Hello, good to be here.
Do you want to take a minute to introduce yourself so people know who you are?
So I'm Josh, I'm 18 from New Zealand. We got a pretty big motorsport scene over here. We've got all sorts of things. So we've got rallying, we've got speedway, we've got circuit racing. So these sort of things are actually quite popular over, I know, in the UK as well. I do commentary down at Euromark Motorsport Park and at Ruapuna Speedway, and I've done a couple of other things as well, like South Island Formula 4, the Christchurch Street Sprints. So I've done a lot of commentary work across the South Island. And I also do co-driving and rally. Just recently started that. We came first in class at Canterbury Rally. Just been prodding along with those and working my way up.
How did you actually get into motorsport?
So this is a little bit of a funny story because it actually kind of, young people kind of these days are always active on, let's say, games and social media and all that sort of thing, right? Yeah. So actually it was through Roblox. Really, really strange story, but it's just one of those cases of someone just playing a Roblox game. You join it, and immediately I was hooked and got into Formula One that way, and that just started me on the path of other motorsports. I think it was actually Formula E that came up second, then MotoGP after that, then just went through NASCAR, WRC, all that sort of thing. So yeah, it's all that sort of thing is just with one sort of weird, I guess, way to get into it. But
yeah, I've heard a lot of stories about how people get into motorsport. That's the first time I've heard someone say Roblox. How long have you actually been racing in motorsport for?
We've only really done our first rally, me and Hayden Shakespeare as a pair. So that's only just happened. Start of June.
Okay.
But I've been sitting on my co-driver's license for about a year. So that was actually the first event that I ended up doing.
How difficult is it to get your co-driver license?
So in New Zealand, the way you have to do to be a co-driver, it's the same process as being a rally driver. So to get your license, you have to go through a test with a MSNZ Motorsport New Zealand testing officer, and basically you go through. You have to go through a medical check, so you have to check off every single thing saying you're medically fit, and then you also have to kind of go through a test saying the motorsport New Zealand codes and the manuals, making sure you know the rules, and they'll give you a set of circumstances basically, and then you'll have to kind of go through those and answer what you would do in those situations, let's say. So it's a simple sort of process, but it's also you've got to know your stuff.
How did you get into the commentating?
So I've always really been a public speaker, and just knew it was a kind of a talent. I knew my voice was my talent, right? And again, through Roblox, got into some racing leagues, did some commentary for them, did some sim racing stuff beforehand as well. And then just simple reality of it was I just sent an email out to Formula Ford, and say, hey, look, you guys looking for a commentator? Cause, I've done a little bit behind the scenes and, happy to help out. And, and that's kind of where things kicked off. That's a whole another story, but yeah, it's pretty, just spontaneous.
What advice would you give to someone wanted to get into the commentating side of it?
I think really just to pace yourself. Take yourself slow. There's definitely been a lot of ups. There's definitely been a lot of downs, right? You're going to go through that. There's going to be criticism, definitely from people as well, about, whether you're good or not. There's going to be questions asked. And I've heard people say, oh, I want to do this and I'm going to try and do this and this and this and this. And often these people actually say they're going to do this, but it's a high profile thing. Like I've talked with people about, they've never done it before and they're like, oh, I really want to do a New Zealand sprint car title. And I'm like, yeah, that's a really good goal to have, but you've got to work towards it. I haven't even done a New Zealand title yet. So you've got to work towards it. That's really, really important. Just get your feet off the ground, start local, do online sim stuff. Actually, it's really, really good to help your craft. Yeah. Look for opportunities and just, pace yourself and, just start small.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. It's pretty much what I've been starting smaller, because it's easy to go, I want to do this, but not know how to get there. I think a lot of people.
Exactly. That's one of the important things, right?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. It's a bit of a different one. Do you think having Liam Lawson in Formula One will grow motorsport in New Zealand?
think honestly it already has. I mean, we look at the impact that Shane Van Gisbergen's had in
Yeah,
NASCAR. Like, this is a guy that's come from Australian supercars. He's won three championships. He's won multiple Bathurst 1000s. Right? Everyone knows him in New Zealand, but when it comes to NASCAR, they never heard of him. This is a guy that we know is so strong on road courses. So that's Shane Van Gisbergen, right? That's one guy that's in a series that's only really super popular in America,
yeah,
and just in New Zealand alone, it's huge. But for Liam, I mean, we talk about him all the time. Like, this is a guy that's come through Formula Ford, Formula First. He's gone up, up the ranks through F3, F2, up to Formula One now, and I think I'm not going to try and get too involved in the politics of the decisions with Red Bull and
yeah.
racing bulls and how that went down. But I think for Liam, it's really important that he's in Formula One for New Zealand, because I mean, if you have a look at it with how it's looking at the New Zealand grassroots scenes, right? Louis Sharp, he's very close with Liam
Yeah.
Lawson, and now competing in the Formula 3 Championship. He had a couple of good results. It's just been a bit of a, I guess, mixed year for him. We know what he's capable of. He absolutely swept the floor clean for the South Island Formula 4 Championship when he was here. So that road and pathway, just, because Liam's moving up, I guess that road and pathway from David Dicker and the Roden team is really helping our grassroots scene. And a lot of these young Kiwi drivers are really looking up to Liam at the moment. So it's just motivation. It's important that he's there. He's doing a good job. It just needs to, he needs to keep doing his thing, and he'll be all right.
Would you like to see the F1 race in New Zealand?
I think that would be nice. It's very much a pipe dream at the moment. We don't
Yeah,
have a circuit that's capable, edible by any means.
yeah.
And I think with the ever expansion of street circuits in Formula One, it's going to be a problem, right? Yes, it would be great in the mind, right? But in the logic sense, can it happen? Probably not.
It's a long way off, I think. Um, do you have any future? Is there any rally that you would want to like participate in? Not
Oh,
just in New Zealand.
Rally Sweden, always, always. That's one thing it's just a beautiful, beautiful rally. Just I'm personally living rural. We get a bit of snow out here, and that's just one of the things, right, that just captivates me. I love snow, love the winter energies and the vibes there. Monty's another good one, another ice and sort of snow rally. But other than the snow, probably Rally Finland. That looks a really fun one to do. But again, look, you've got to work your way up the New Zealand ranks again.
How saying you like so when you tell people you want to like go into motorsport and stuff, how have you found their reactions to be?
I think, to be honest, it depends on what you talk to them about. If you say, look, I really want to go drive,
Yeah.
most people are like, have you really got the skills necessary to do that? If you tell them, oh, I really want to get involved with media or commentating or this, it's still, they're like, that's great, but have you got the skills to do it?
I think a lot of it is also based on like where you are in the world. I think
Mm,
where I am, I'm quite close to Silverstone. So you say that the words, oh, I want to work in motorsport, everyone's like Silverstone, Silverstone, Silverstone. And whereas like my parents, I say they're like, you talk a lot, go do it, kind of thing you do. But people, let's say at school, are a bit like, that's a bit embarrassing, mate. But we move on past them.
yeah.
Um, yeah. So,
But I went to a private school for a little bit, and most people around there were so focused on cricket and rugby because those are our national sports. But when you bring up motorsport, they're like, oh, motocross. It's like, no, very different, very, very different, because it actually involves, it's a common misconception is motocross and motorsport. Again, it's another thing. It's just education's not really there around it with young people, as you say. So they're kind of got to be like, oh, really? What's that? And not really understand actually how cool it is what you're doing.
yeah, I think so. Because UK, England, very big on football. So I said the words football, everyone's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's what I used to want to do. But then I said the words motorsport, and I was like, Silverstone, Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
That's about as far as it goes. I'm like, yeah, bit more than that. Then I was like, oh, I went to the race at Silverstone, went to the British F4, and they were like, what's that? Who are these people? I'm like, they're drivers. It's pretty cool, you know? And they're just like, I don't know. But yeah, I think a lot of it is about exposing more people to motorsport, creating more opportunities for them as well to get to experience it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you ever like within when did you start commentating 3 years ago? So
2022, end of 2022, about October. Yeah.
October. So you still in school?
Sorry,
Would you still be in school?
I was. Yes, I was 15 at the time.
No, yeah. I just want to check. How did you have to like find ways to work it around school, or was it?
I guess the good thing is with the way New Zealand motorsport works is we are always weekends. We're all the time. Like
Yeah.
I always was pretty on top of my homework, so I was okay. But generally, it's always on weekends. Like we have practice on the Friday, then you have qualifying. This is at least at Euromart Motorsport Park anyway. We have practice on the Friday, qualifying on the Saturday morning, and then you go straight into the races late morning, early afternoon, and then those races continue into the Sunday. Ruapuna Speedway, generally, we have 1 day meetings and they happen at night. So some of those are during weekdays.
Okay, so it didn't really interfere. That's good then.
Yeah, which is a positive, right? It's not you're not
Yeah.
pressuring yourself. It's basically just like doing a weekend sport.
Yeah, I think pretty much the same here, but I think I found that when I want to do interviews, because the drivers are racing on weekends, they want to do weekdays. And especially because I
Mm,
just went through like my end of year, like the main big exams, and some of the drivers are doing that as well. So it's a bit like we're trying to work on everything, and it's a bit getting in. We're doing them at like 11 o'clock in the morning, like just randomly during the day because only bit we got, which interferes a bit of education. But
yeah,
I think because I was doing exams, so you only got to be in school for the exams, it was okay, but it takes a bit of time. But then you just got to think that you're doing the exams, but you're also trying to build a career, so
exactly. Yeah.
it's got to be a balance. What would you say to someone who's trying to get into motorsport, like just as a fan? How would you go about it?
Honestly, I would go to probably try and get some contacts first before you go to
Mm,
anything. I would try and find some mates who are into that sort of thing. And if you've got them, great. And then try to go to the events that are probably going to pique your interest the most. With Formula One, there's going to be days where there's going to be
yeah,
ball fests. So you've got to find the races that are going to be just top notch, so you can get really interested in it before you put yourself into a situation where you have to watch ball fests. Like,
yeah. I think the ball fest part, like, I think it's when you wake up early. You don't have to do like 3 times a year, so I can't really complain. But it's like when you wake up, it's just the worst race. But to be fair, Australia this year, I think that's the earliest I have to get up. That was no ball fest. That
yeah,
was great.
chaos. Yeah,
Chaos. I was like, I was awake. Like,
yeah.
I was like, I was sat there like, oh my god, I can't go sleep now. I was like,
Oh, that's how we felt with the British Grand Prix. Don't worry.
yeah, yeah, do that. Actually, no, yeah, the British Grand Prix this year compared to other years. But talking about the boring races, what do you think F1 could change to add the excitement into these races?
I've I've kind of always privately said it's always the cars, and this is probably the first time I'll say it publicly, but I've never been a fan of these new cars. They've
Yeah,
never promised the racing, brought the racing that Formula One promised. They said, oh, these will be so close, great close racing. What happened in 2023? Red Bull won every
yeah,
single race, bar one. So it's actually reversed the course, and I think, unfortunately, we moved. Fortunately or unfortunately, we could have either had if we're forgetting about the pandemic here, if 2020 regulations went ahead, 2021 regulations went ahead, sorry, we were in these cars then, imagine that we wouldn't have that championship battle. We wouldn't have the Red Bull advantage probably now. We'd probably be maybe a Ferrari or a McLaren advantage. But it's like, I'm hoping these new cars are better, but from what I've heard drivers say, it's not ideal.
yeah. From what I've heard, it's not going to be the bad.
When you're having to downshift on the straight at Monza, it doesn't seem like the best
No, it's going
option.
to be. Yeah, I think part of the problem actually is it keeps jumping just from one domination to another. So you've had
Mm,
like Mercedes and Lewis for years, bit of that. Then you had like the complete Red Bull domination, which was just insane. And then you've now jumped to the McLaren domination. There's like a little bit of a gap. I mean, now we've had what Mercedes win, a Red Bull win, so that's a bit different to Red Bull domination, but it's
mm.
still you can pretty much go into the weekend going right. We've got a McLaren on the podium or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty much a guarantee unless they do what they did in Canada and take themselves both out. Luckily,
yeah,
Oscar survived that, but
yeah,
yeah, that was unlucky. It's just again one of the things with these teammate championship battles, isn't it? It's
yeah.
like you're going to have these teammate collisions. We saw it with, Vettel and Webber in 2010, and Rosberg and Hamilton all those years ago. It's like it's bound to happen if the driver status is the same.
Yeah, I think from mechanics, like they know they've technically got constructors, like realistically,
Yeah,
so many points ahead, and they're trying. They want the driver championship, but I think there's a bit of a problem with it, like the way they're going about it, because we all want to see the racing, but at the same time, when you actually sat there watching the racing, it's like you're a bit like, oh, maybe not. I think
yeah, exactly.
I think they're not ready for a lot of the backlash they're getting from. I think like Canada or I think it was Canada and Silverstone. The backlash was just insane. They were getting
Yeah.
from trying to construct this fight between their drivers.
I think that's one of the things, right? The F1 fan base is so passionate, but you also have a lot of these Drive to Survive fans that actually don't know a lot about the sport that come in and
Mm.
they're not really properly understanding of what the sport actually is. Where the negative fan base can probably come from, and it's just on a basis of you know, we need to actually give a little bit more information. I think probably during the races as well. I think Crofty and Martin Brundle will do a good job at that. I haven't actually properly watched the F1 TV coverage with Alex Shakes, but I think that's one of the important things is just providing these new fans with the actual accurate information to understand the sport.
Yeah, I think also with like the new F1 film, a lot of people coming into it that way. But
Mm.
it was
I personally haven't seen it, so no
okay.
spoilers yet.
I won't spoil it, but it was a bit. There was a few moments where these fans are going to be a bit disappointed with him
Mm.
watching the actual racing. I won't. Yeah, I don't want to say
Do
too
you think it
much.
would? Do you think it kind of dramatized it up a little bit too much? Is what you're kind of
Um,
saying?
yeah, there was
Yeah,
definitely some things I was sat in the cinema. I was a bit like, mm, no, but okay. See, but I was
yeah,
just
that's
there.
Hollywood for you.
I was just there watching for how many times I could spot the drivers. So
Fair enough.
it was an all right film. I wouldn't say the film was bad. I'd say the fans are going to have these expectations that won't be met.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. Moving on. If you could go to any if you could commentate on any Formula One circuit, which one would it be?
Oh, um, honestly, it's probably Coda, just on the
Yeah.
basis that that was the race that got me into Formula One, right? Like I remember 2019 US Grand Prix. That was I didn't even watch it. I was just following along in class because it was about 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock our time when it
Mm.
started, and just catching up on live updates. And I remember just seeing, I think it was what lap 7, Sebastian Vettel's suspension broke, and I'm just like, oh, how's that happened? But
Yeah.
my favorite driver won that day as well, Valtteri Bottas, and it was yeah, that race was very memorable for me. Then the following race, the Brazilian Grand Prix at Interlagos, that was the first race I actually watched, and that was a banger. So yeah, it just kind of locked me in. So yeah, it'd probably be one of those two tracks, just on the basis of I've watched them before, past years, but also that's where I started.
Yeah.
I know they can provide good races, and they're beautiful tracks to watch as well. I mean, the scenery around it, the layout, the fast flowing nature of both of them as well. It's
Yeah.
just very, very enticing. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the more historic tracks are where it's like the more historic tracks is where it's at, I think, for wanting to commentate, I'd say, or work at. I think, oh my god, I have to track again. Spa, definitely
Yes.
one. That was probably one, I
Mm.
think Spa the first race I watched, or was it Hungary? It's what I can't remember because it's one of them two, and I didn't really know what was going on. I was just trying to
What year was
avoid.
that? Do you remember?
2023. Okay, I've
Okay,
not been to.
that was probably the saddest year to get in, but yeah.
It's a bit
But
of
you're
an
here now, so there you go.
it's a
That
bit of
proves it works.
it's a bit of an odd story because okay, I have an older brother, and he's the most annoying person when it comes to watching sports. So I was a massive football fan, still am, and I was watching the Women's World Cup, and he sat there talking the whole way through the race, the match, and then I think practice or something was on or qualifying. And I was like, so I'm going to do the same back to you. I'm going to sit here and talk. And now here I am
There you
going
go.
more into it than he is. So he, but like it causes, we have like different favorites, so it causes like not arguments, but arguments. Yeah,
Yeah, fair enough.
yeah, definitely one of the worst. Not one of the worst. It's one of the more boring years to get into Formula One.
Mm.
a bit of a, when Singapore came around, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. With a different person winning. Because I don't even see Max win. So I hadn't even seen that the Checo wins earlier in the season. So it was like,
That's heartbreaking. Yeah,
yeah, just only saw Max win for my.
but it just shows the level he's on, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah, he is insane though. This year has been a bit not disappointing, but different.
I think I think it's another proof of the level he's on. I mean, look at where
Yeah.
Sonoda and Lawson were with that Red Bull. They were just nowhere. The car's
Mm,
just not there, and he's still able to extract podiums and even a
yeah.
win out of it. So, absolutely incredible driver. I think the level he's on is above anyone else. And look, I know NASCAR fans and especially Kyle Larson fans will say, "Oh, he's the better one," but I just don't see it. And yeah, I don't know how much you know about NASCAR, but after the form Larson's been
Mm,
on the last, what, 4 weeks, maybe probably actually 4 months, to be honest, his argument for that's kind of dead in the water. So, yeah, I think he's still a good driver, don't get me wrong.
yeah. Um. Yeah, I think especially with Max, I think it's a lot of his mentality because you can just see, especially with like all the rumors going around at the moment and stuff, the way he's just kind of oh God, sorry. Um, the way he's kind of just gone about it and not really had a reaction to it. Whereas there's some other drivers that definitely would react to it in a different way. Let's say
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
they would
definitely.
take to the media about it, where he's just been like, see what happens.
Exactly. Yeah. Just a chill demeanor, right?
Yeah, to just not wanting to actually talk about it because I mean it is. I think it was quite obvious. Qatar, was it 24 with the George Russell? I can't
Mm,
remember. Yeah,
yeah.
that was a bit odd.
Okay.
There was some odd things going on about in the media and penalties. It was a bit like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Between Qatar and Abu Dhabi, yeah.
yeah. I was like, oh god, that was a wild time on F1 Twitter.
The reason I have stayed off Twitter.
I honestly, I'm so nosy, so I like to see what other people are saying about stuff, but I don't
Yeah,
react to anything. I'm like, you could not find my profile if you tried. Mhm. Like, it's like you could not find it, and it's just I want to see what people are saying. It's how I get like a lot of not information, but it's how I think I see that and I can take what I'm seeing it said on there and then ask people questions about it and like construct like an interview around it. Especially
yeah,
if, like the rumors and stuff. There's some odd things, but I think it also I like to see how people are reacting to show why things need to change within online with drivers and stuff.
yeah, yeah. That's fair.
Yeah, that is all we have time for because Zoom is telling me I won't pay for more. Thank you for doing this, and I
No
hope you
worries.
enjoyed it.